Okay, guys, hopefully you've stayed by. Um, Sorry about what just happened. Screen just, what did it do? It just ended right in the middle of the live stream. Very annoying. I am having problems with this computer at the moment. Damn nuisance. Anyway, I'll see who has stood by, and if not, we'll just close this one. Give it a few minutes. I had looked at the last comments, so where we left off talking about James Bond and so on, but I'll wait to seeing a few comments. And Dragonfly, got that book on Done This if you're still around. Just seen a thumbs up, so that's a good sign. I do these live streams periodically anyway, so at the moment I can't upload a full video irritatingly, but I think live streams take up less data than or less MB than video uploads. So please do write something, guys, so I know that you're here. Aaron Hook, Cloudy McLeod, Declan. Hello, Declan. Welcome. Good to see you here, guys. So, Declan, this is actually the second part of the live stream. We had technical problems before. So, yeah. So, welcome. I'm just looking at. Yeah, I didn't see any notification here first, but here now. Well, welcome, Declan. I won't stay too much longer though, so if you've anything that you want to bring up, then go ahead and we could cover that. Um, Dragonfly, are you around? Because I have Dragonfly. This is the Dunluce. We went to the same school. It turns out, which is a small world. So I'm just wondering if Dragonfly is still there. Told me his name in the last live stream, so I'm actually looking it up here. I'm sure he won't mind. If you could provide a link, that would be easier if possible. To the last live stream, to be honest, Cloudy, I'm not quite sure how to do that, and I have to say my computer is just generally having problems at the moment. I keep getting a message saying page unresponsive. That really irritating message. I'm not sure how to link a live stream to another live stream because when I upload a video, they'll be under a list of videos I've uploaded, but I can't seem to find previous live streams. Are you talking about a link, a notification for live streams? What I've always done, I don't know if that's what you're talking about, but I've always done them spontaneously. So because people are in different time zones, and not just that, I find if there's a set time, I just like to make it spontaneous to give everyone a chance. So if someone misses a live stream, they can maybe catch the next one rather than having it very sort of like an exact time. It's and also, frankly, for my own sake, I don't have the discipline to do it at an exact time all the time. Of other things going on. Not much political on my moor, but Norfolk Council. So much roadworks going on around Norwich at the moment. I imagine that's a big thing in your part of the country. I think it's possible in a current live stream, but just don't know how. Neither do I. That's the thing. I don't. I mean, I suppose I could look around here. I just don't want to lose this again. Let's see. You don't have access to this feature. Manage. Let me check something here. Just try and manage if this can maybe link up there. I don't want to fiddle around too much in case I lose this. Channel level settings. Okay, I don't know what that is. Oh yeah, I've already checked that. Discard changes. Okay. Yeah, I'll stop messing around because I don't want to lose this live stream. Do you believe tensions between Israel and Hezbollah will escalate into war? It's possible. And I think if there is another war in South Lebanon, I don't know, Israel is going to be in a very, very difficult position because at the moment, the Allies, Britain, America, Western Europe, are already uneasy about the way this is going. And there's obvious tensions between Netanyahu and Biden. So I think the last thing Israel needs is another war. But that may not be their choice. If Hezbollah tries October 7th style attack, Dragonfly did give his name, but I forgot it. I remember it. He put it publicly, so I don't think he'll mind me looking this up. Brian McCaig. He did write that, so I don't think he'll mind me saying that. It's a real pain as some going on for months and not finishing on time. One major roundabout has been closed for months, badly hit businesses. The thing about potholes, they're not just ugly to look at, they're actually quite dangerous. This has been a bad week for road accidents. There was an elderly couple died in South Yorkshire in Armagh, outside Armagh City in Northern Ireland. There was 4 young people died on the road, which really affected that community. It was a rural area. Northern Ireland's long had difficult roads, dangerous roads. I remember, talking of Northern Ireland memories, I mentioned UTV. I also remember road safety ads. They played that song by Cliff Richard, Mistletoe and Wine, and it showed all these graphic car crash scenes around Christmas time. It was quite graphic, I remember. I mean, it wasn't bloody, but just hit hard. Northern Ireland used to do some quite effective road safety ads. One major roundabout being closed for months, badly hit businesses in one area and a few gone under. Richard Midhurst streamed hot on the Hezbollah issue. So I'm just, the end of the sentence is a little emoji covering it. So see if I find myself in these photos. You guys want to see a young Nathan Hazlett? I might be able to have a picture of myself around here somewhere. Nah, maybe this is the year above me. It's really just a local school. I mean, this looks ancient now. I'm going to show you guys. That's like one of the classrooms in the school. You see it's all black and white in it. Looks ancient, but it's only the late 90s. The French trippers we used to have. I didn't go on that, but there was a school trip to France. I mean, it's funny. It's over 20 years ago, but I still remember some of these faces. I also have one from my school in England, St Aidan's in Sunderland, during an award ceremony. Nathan Hazlett passed his GCSEs. I accumulate my knowledge from personal research. I didn't actually do that well in grades. Maybe I was distracted. I don't know. I had average grades. Anyway, I do think councils should compensate businesses when doing major closures and roadworks. Yeah, and they always seem to do it at the busiest times. We've got a bit of that in Sunderland as well. There's a few near here. Okay, guys, I'm not going to leave this too much longer because I'm getting quite hungry now. It's already 7:15. I think that guy's already left. Dragonfly. That's a pity because I wanted to show him this. Never mind. Maybe he could look at the live stream in retrospect or something. Aaron, welcome. Oh yeah, that's just. Okay, guys, give it another 5 minutes. I'll see if Dragonfly shows up again. That's a French trip from that school. So you see, it's all black and white. It looks ancient, but yeah, there's a one guy in there who used to be my best friend, but he went down a funny path. Funny seeing this. Anyway, if there's anything else you guys want to bring up, anything you've seen in my videos, any subject, I'll give a few more minutes. General Certificate of Secondary Education. Special Merit Prizes. Yeah, Declan, just so you know, I said to the other guys, I haven't been able to upload a video recently. Unfortunately, there's space issues. I keep getting that really annoying message, page unresponsive. And sometimes this computer sorts itself out. But I clean up the files. I've no extra apps, no photos online at the moment, nothing like that. So it's really frustrating. And I need this computer for my tutorial work, so it's damn annoying. My other little laptop is just, well, I think you know from last time, it's really not working. Richard Medhurst, streamer, is hot on the Hezbollah issue. Any thoughts on Owen Jones? Yeah, don't have much time for him. No, I mean, what can I say? The guy speaks his mind. He is what he is. He's well on the left. As a centrist, I certainly wouldn't align with all his views. I don't know though. In terms of, I'll give him his due. There has been times he went outside his comfort zone. So he did go to the Tory conference and ask questions in a very civil way. I don't care much for his politics. I think he's well on the left. I'm much more in the centre. Um, but yeah, he's not the worst leftist I could think of, like on that side of the left, but he can be a bit. I mean, I remember he was mugged a few years ago, and I did know, well, has he changed his views on crime now? Because he'd been very much of the school of thoughts about. I remember he made a book, actually published a book about chavs, and it's not a term I really use, but I've long thought, well, yeah, it's kind of a rude term, but it's also victims of yob culture fighting back by using the term. Anyway, Jones had a book about that. Here we go. So yeah, Cloudy, my thoughts on Owen Jones. I mean, I can never criticize someone for being honest to their convictions, but let's just say I wouldn't say eye to eye with him on a lot of things. Maybe some things. Maybe some things. There are some parts of my thinking that do align more to the left, but yeah, it's like anything, you know. There's right wingers I agree with and left wingers I agree with, but when someone is quite partisan, as Jones is, then it is what it is, you know. So, um, Uberlingen disaster. I agree with you on that. And oh man, that must have been a frustrating laptop not working properly. Yeah, actually, about the Berlingen disaster, that was from a seconds from disaster, and also I think I remember vaguely actually seeing it on the news at the time in 2002. It's the thing about that is, I must say, I really don't think it was Peter Nelson's fault, and I imagine his reaction on the episode after the collision would have been the same in real life. Yeah, the thing that's so hard about that, I mean, aside from the fact the guy was murdered in front of his wife and children, and the murderer was treated like some sort of hero, uh, people seem to overlook the fact that on the actual night there were engineers that had disabled the phone system. I mean, one thing I've noticed from the Seconds from Disaster programs, there's a lot put on human error. I mean, a lot of blame put on individuals rather than looking at technical things. I mean, why the hell did they disable the phone network on one of Europe's busiest air traffic controls? That I think that should have been a major. It just seemed to me that Peter Nielsen was largely scapegoated for that disaster. And yeah, he made mistakes, but he was under pressure. It just, and then he was murdered on top of that. I don't know. I think that company has a lot to answer for. As for the guy who murdered him, I wasn't in his shoes. You know, he must have suffered tremendously. But to actually hunt the guy down and bring a knife, he wasn't. He didn't want to just have an angry remonstrance with him. It was premeditated murder, and he should have got a longer sentence. The air crash investigation episode showed him breaking down and being escorted out. To be fair, it was one of the hardest episodes to watch. Yeah, it was a difficult one, especially when you see his reaction. But it just doesn't make sense. Why was he working on his own? Why the hell did the engineers? I mean, they should be partly culpable because they didn't put the phone system back. Apparently, that was negligence. So I don't know why they weren't held at least partly culpable. It's just you can imagine the pressure he was under, trying to get through to the regional airport. He couldn't. Trying to contact the pilots. He couldn't. It just seems very, very unfair. Then dealing with the guilt of knowing that he was partly responsible for 72 deaths. It's poor guy must have went through an awful time of it. and I know the relatives did as well. But what his killer done was definitely crossing a line. I can understand the killer being angry with the company, even saying they were guilty of manslaughter, etc., etc. But to actually go to the guy's house, kill him, that was, and he only got a few years for it because he was deemed to be not criminally liable, diminished responsibility, but he knew damn well what he was doing. So I think he should have got a longer sentence myself. Um, Maybe mitigating circumstances for the loss that he'd suffered, but murder is murder. I mean, Peter Nilsson's family, his wife and children, they've had to grow up, his children have had to grow up without a father in the same way, knowing that he was murdered by an obsessed guy who, it's an awful thing, very, very depressing. I mean, when people look at that, they think of the families of those who died in the plane crash, but there's also the family of Peter Nielsen. And I know in May Day, the May Day episode, they had a little memorial for the victims of the air disaster, but also for Peter Nielsen, which is, I think, appropriate. It's just frustrating that it takes a disaster for, things to change. Um, why the hell disable a phone system at that time? Could they not have found a quieter time to do it? Maybe the night shift was quieter. I don't know, but at least just seeing feels that Peter Nielsen was scapegoated there. So that's why I felt the need to make that video. And please, someone watched it because I thought, oh, this is like 22 years on. Well, then most of my videos are about issues now. So that was another thing about the Berlingen disaster. There'd been a collision over Japan the year before, very close collision. No one died, but there were injuries. And actually, this year, a few weeks ago, there was a mid-air collision over Nairobi, and 5 people died. So does still happen. Although it has to be said, aviation is incredibly safe today. It's I can't even remember the last time there was a major civilian aviation disaster. I think it's at least a year. There was one in China last year, I believe, or Nepal, but it's becoming increasingly rare. From the 70s to the 90s, it would have been one every few weeks. So at least that's something. Aviation has got increasingly safer. Okay, guys, we'll give it another minute, and then I've other things to get on with. But it's a pity this live stream was interrupted, but this one at least we've got it back for future reference. If a live stream is interrupted like that, I'll probably restart it. Sorry, Claudia, mostly referring to his latest resignation from Labour. Oh, I didn't realise he'd resigned from Labour. What's his reasoning? I mean, if Keir Starmer isn't good enough for him, that says something. I never thought Jones was a full-on Corbynite, but yeah, I'd imagine Starmer's Labour's too right-wing for him. While sympathetic towards Kaliev, it was scummy what he did. If he showed remorse, what he did, he would then give more respect, but he didn't. Yeah. I mean, he could have said, I lashed out of pain and anger. He might have got, but to show no remorse and be treated like a hero, that's kind of sick. To be fair, though, on the May Day episode, there was some other Russian relatives who said they didn't want Nielsen to be murdered, and they didn't. So it would also be wrong that he would. Apparently, this is the sick thing. He's now got some senior local government position. That's the twisted situation of Russia today. A murderer can get promoted to a local government position. I mean, apparently he used to spend time in the cemetery and all. Clearly, he was troubled. But the point I would make is it can't be diminished responsibility because he would have had to travel to Switzerland, find out where the guy lived. That takes a degree of planning. That's not some spur of the moment rage. That's premeditated. I mean, spur of the moment rage, if he sort of saw the guy and, you know, his children and his wife flashed back and he lashed out, it's still wrong. But what he done was premeditated. So I definitely think he should have got a tougher sentence. Mostly it's the Gaza issue. Um, ah, well, I think Starmer's having similar issues to Biden on that. Although I don't know what Jones was complaining about, but Starmer did call for a ceasefire recently, so he has caved into that pressure. I don't know. I can imagine Labour splitting at some point further. Although, as it stands, I'll just say this in closing: Labour probably will win the election, but I am not about to vote Labour. I have significant concerns about. Um, yeah, I heard he did. I've got significant concerns about Labour's position with Islamists. Lee Anderson got into hot water for saying that Starmer and Sadiq Khan are controlled by Islamists. It is a little bit of a slanderous thing to say about rival politicians, but unquestionably, there is a political correctness in Labour that doesn't want to talk about this issue. And I have a big problem with the fact they attacked Anderson for supposed Islamophobia. Starmer could have said his allegations about me are false, but he turned it into an Islamophobia thing. I remember the Batley school case where the teacher is still in hiding. There's never been any criminal charges brought against those who have threatened him. That's a Labour area. Um, and honestly, I have concerns Labour might well introduce some sort of blasphemy legislation by stealth, dressing it up as anti-hate crime. I'd be very, very wary about that. So that's why I'm not in a rush to vote Labour, although I think the Tories have definitely had their run. So honestly, one of the videos I was going to upload when I finally get this thing working again is me being in a political limbo. I'm certainly not apathetic, but I don't know. The Tories, I think, they've had the run, and I don't like their stance on welfare. Labour, I don't like I think they're hostage to woke ideology. Lib Dems are Labour light, so I just don't know. I might actually vote for an independent. I do believe in voting. I think it's a civic duty, but um, anyway, I'll wrap that up, guys. Thanks a lot for your time today. The point of these live streams is to interact with my subscribers because it's, yeah, like on my videos, it's so Cloudy, I'll just finish with that point. I'm not voting. That's your right, of course, but is that because you're disillusioned with the big parties, or in your area is a safe seat so things don't change? Have done for years. The only thing I would say about that, I do get it. I can understand disillusion with politics. The only thing I would say is, if someone really bad gets in, as opposed to just averagely bad, then the argument would be, well, people who don't vote are helping them get support. But I understand. I get the political disillusion. I feel it as well. Um, I only voted in the Brexit referendum. Did you vote in the AV referendum? Of 2011 for the voting mechanisms. I mean, I would say I would diverge a bit on this. I do think it's important to vote. There's parts of the world where people, they don't have that right. I mean, even saying none of the above is, to me, is better than doing nothing. That's just my opinion. Anyway, I'll wrap this up, guys. Thanks for your time today. Only vote when there's a meaningful vote. Well, this is the thing. Sorry, I will just add this. If it's very, very close to call, then it is by definition meaningful. If you have literally, I mean, for example, in my area, there was only a few dozen votes between the Liberal Democrats and Labour, and they do have some different policies here. Labour cancelled our popular air show. The Liberal Democrats want to bring it back. So there is some divergence. So that's all I would say. There are times when it does literally make a difference. In a safe seat where it looks like the party's always going to win anyway, I do understand the contention, but I think it's important to vote. But there we have it. Thanks for your time today, and until next time, guys. Thanks a lot.